Hello, happy Monday, and welcome to The Lab. I'm Seth, and I'm here with your hosts, Kel and Cody. And today we are going to be talking about Pride. And to start off, guys, how are you?
Go ahead,
Great.
Cody.
It's Pride Month, so how can we not be great? I'm just kidding. So for anyone listening who doesn't know, we are all three trans. So if you're wondering whether it's these three dudes talking about Pride Month, that is why.
Reasons why gays are bad.
We have all found Jesus, and we're just gonna try to, save some more souls for this podcast episode. Just kidding. You're safe. There will be no soul saving unless that's what you want.
Liberty, guns, beer, and Trump. Sorry.
So yeah, I'm good. Nothing new, really. I think just another glorious day. But it is the first day of June. I like me a new, fresh month, fresh start, because sometimes bullshit can get the best of you. And then you're just like, I need a reset. And so, just like Mondays can be a reset, first days of the month are great resets, because I tell myself at the beginning of the month, each month, this is your month that you're going to do all the things. Even if I never follow through, I still do it every month. I'm like, this is the month. So
yeah, new journal entry.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Kel?
I'm doing good for the most part. Just kind of rocking and rolling, just rinse and repeating. But feeling good, feeling solid. June is my birthday month also. So
Happy birthday.
As you're hearing this on Monday, today is my birthday.
Yay!
Please submit a review on whatever you're listening to as a birthday present to me. And but yeah, I feel like May flew by to me, and I felt kind of behind all month. So I'm excited for a new month, kind of like Cody was saying, a little bit of a fresh start. And kind of, I'm also trying out a new day plan for my days of the week. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Nice. I'm seeing Paramore tomorrow. Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody sounds
awesome.
really. That's hard. I actually really like Turn It Off, and they're not playing it.
Oh, what? That sucks.
Yeah, I really like that song. But I like a lot of their older stuff, like from the self-titled and Riot. Obviously, they're playing a good amount of Riot. Oh my God, Cody, why am I saying all this? Have you looked?
No.
I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people like to be surprised. Because they don't really change from show to show after a new cycle starts. So now that it's summer 2023, people have started reliably recording what they've been playing.
Yeah, I don't get to see them until next month. Like I think it's July 22nd. So you never know. They might change it up and be like, actually, let's play this song instead. But I at least get to see them. That's what
the people I'm going with are really happy. I'm the only one that likes their older stuff more. So
you're the only one that likes their older stuff more. That's
in
weird.
The group of people. Well, I'm going with people who are younger than me.
Oh, so they like
younger than you? So they're in diapers.
They listen, Kel. So yes, I'm calling you out. You know who you are. I won't say your name because I didn't get permission for that. But you little babies, grandpa's talking about you with the other grandpas. Anyway,
I think
Paramore next weekend.
Oh yeah,
you all get to see. East Coast
get
some first.
Any Paramore.
That's lame. Why don't you get to go?
Oh, it's a sister's trip for Maddie, so.
Oh, well, that sucks.
It's okay. I'm not a big crowds of people at a stadium show kind of person. I like a seat and I like space. So I'm more of a festival sit on grass person. So I'm
we got
lunch when they were in small venues in my college years.
Yeah, they have stadium seating, so it'll be pretty. I mean, I have a seat. I'm not doing the
But you're
pit
not gonna
these
sit
days.
it.
I
Probably
did the
not.
pit once, and I was right up against the barrier. It was amazing, but I was younger. It was younger times, and these days I would have a fucking panic attack. So that's never happening again. But my love for Haley Williams overpowered my need or my usual panicking of people. I was just like, I don't care. I'm as close to Haley Williams as I will ever fucking be, and that is what I focused on for the whole time.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Cody is a huge Paramore fan.
Super
Like,
fan.
Yes.
very much so. It's not fair that I'm seeing them first at all, but
No, it's not. No, I'm just
it's
kidding.
not.
It's
It's really not fair. I'm like, they're not my favorite band I'm going to be seeing this year. Like an asshole.
like, God damn it.
They're like top
The thing
three.
is- So if you've ever watched like Paramore's concert videos, or if you've been to a concert, you know that they always bring someone on stage when they sing Misery Business. And I halfway like dream and like have a nightmare at the same time about that situation. So like the time that I was front row and they were like picking their people and like you raised their hand, I was like raising my hand and she looked at me and I was like, never mind. I was like, first of all, I can't fucking sing. Second of all, I would forget the words. It's so now I joke with Des that I would raise my hand and be like, I'm not going to sing, but I will play a mean tambourine. Just give me the tambourine.
She'd probably let you.
Probably. I'd be like, I'm not singing. I'm sorry. You can do it. You're the best at it. I will just like, I'll fling my wrist with this fucking tambourine. How about that? Or maybe a kazoo. That would work.
Actually, it's something like that happened to me as a child at a circus, and I'll leave it at that for another time.
What?
But it actually happened. It's real. I mean, there's pictures of it somewhere, but that'll take 30 minutes.
Did they make you the bearded lady?
That would have been really validating. I was 6. It involved
Beard
cutlery.
hadn't come in yet?
Got a little like, hey, little boy in the audience with the receding hairline and the beard. It's just me, like my head, but on a smaller body. That was me at 5. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It could just be like me in Vegas at the drag show, awkwardly standing. I don't want to.
I fucking forgot you did that. It was amazing.
Oh man.
He got harassed at a drag show. They made him take off his clothes.
Yes.
This is what's happening in America.
Sounds awful.
I feel like it was before the Attack on Drag Queens.
It was.
This is in
Wasn't it?
December.
When did it start? I mean, I've been into drag for a long time. Some of my very good friends growing up are now successful drag queens, and I have to say, I remember there always being a stigma. We would go around in my hometown, and they would be like dressed up, and we'd go into the Starbucks or something, and like there were definitely people who wanted to harm them, but they liked doing it because they liked getting a rise out of people. So I still, as an adult, I still see that in Queens, and I respect it. No one asked for my opinion, but there it is.
That kind of leads us into our next segment, though. That's a pretty good segue.
Yeah. So, for all listeners out there, we're gonna kind of try a different structure to things. So we kind of want to touch on like a current event, hot topic, that sort of thing, and have that be part of the podcast. So that's where we're going to kind of transition into. And considering it's Pride Month, we decided to talk about the whole Target fiasco with the Pride merchandise and the removal of it and what is all going on there. Should I read kind of like a small synopsis of what's going on? Because
your source.
Yeah. So my source is NBC News. I even had to look it up because I've seen things, being passed around, but I still didn't know the gist of what the root of this whole thing is, what is happening. So here we go. So following Target's announcement last week that it removed products and relocated Pride displays to the back of certain stores in the South activists in the LGBT community are calling for new campaigns to convince corporate leaders not to cave to anti-LGBT groups. So it says, we need a strategy on how to deal with corporations that are experiencing enormous pressure to throw LGBTQ people under the bus. Essentially, what happened is that having the Pride merchandise was pissing off people so much that it was causing disruptions in the store, threats, and just, they were basically afraid for their employees' safety. Okay, so this is where it all started. And I'm not seeing what was removed, but they do say in this article that they just ended up putting the Pride stuff in the back of the store. But I know we've both, or all of us, has seen things passed around in the community about things being removed completely. So
it looks like I have this AP News article up, and it's saying that Target did not pull its entire Pride collection, but has removed certain items ahead of Pride Month.
Does it say what those items are? I'm assuming they're buying like trans-specific. That's what I want to think.
Yeah, give us SKUs.
It doesn't have anything. It looks like they're removing items that have been the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. Target has declined to further specify which products would be impacted. Tuck-friendly women's swimsuits were one of the things that they are aware of. That can be proven, I suppose. But that's all I can find right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm feeling it is the trans-specific stuff, like that, and then binders. I think there were going to be like, I don't know if it was like skin color binders. I don't know if that's part of also the swimwear aspect of things. So I would say probably the trans-centered stuff is what I think that's probably what people are the most mad about, because they've had this Pride collection for years at this point. That I've seen every time I walk into Target in June, there's always a Pride collection. So the uproar currently, I feel like, is specifically around the trans aspect of things, because that's the hot topic. That is what's pissing people off, because people are like, our children are being recruited and attacked and all that stuff. So
it is interesting.
Yeah, go for it.
I walked in the parade last year, in our Columbus parade, and we were at the front. So this project that I was part of, we were I forget what the fancy word for leaders of the parade is.
Drum major.
Yeah, kind of, but without anything.
Conductor.
Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal.
That's what it is.
God damn it! I thought I really had it too.
Yeah. So we were the Grand Marshals. So I was super stoked. I'd never walked in the parade before, and I got my shirt because I bought a new shirt for it, obviously, and I got my shirt from Target last year. It was the tie-dye, pink and blue tie-dye that said trans rights, or human rights, I think, and it's such a bummer because I know they were always one that we always like to get our Pride stuff from. Maybe not the greatest. I mean, support your local and small business owned church. Yes, I agree 1,000%. But I am a poor planner and run out the night before, and it had to be Target. So that was kind of a bummer for me. How about you, Seth? What are your thoughts?
Okay. I'm keeping my feet solidly off my soapbox, but fuck corporate America. And I don't mean all the people who work for it or the conglomerate ever, but decisions that are made of this magnitude are usually from people who only see dollar signs, in my opinion. So I'm always looking at okay, what's the angle? What's the angle? Because I personally despise rainbow capitalism. I don't like seeing large corporations benefit from shifting social parameters around what's acceptable and what's not. What they're looking at, okay, what's going to generate revenue? Get all these people in a room, see how they respond to this, blah, 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 marketing. Anyway, I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm dead fucking serious. I do not like it. So anything about that. Now, what is concerning to me is if they're really receiving credible threats to the people who work there, I imagine that, yeah, moving it to the back could be a good idea for safety because they tend to put it up in the front. And if you're going to get people coming in with weapons or something, but then you get into a whole other fucking conversation that I don't think we're trying to have right now. So basically, to say that, I guess that's my opinion. Sorry.
I agree with you. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the rainbow capitalism. I mean, anymore, the Pride Parade is like just like your bank giving you a koozie that says has a rainbow on it, and it's the same one as all the other koozies that you got. I am a koozie collector, so
I also enjoy a koozie.
But it is kind of a bummer. Like, the Pride Parades used to be so much more fun and everything, but the thing that I really struggle with is that I also know several people who are pretty close to me who work at Target, and it's really fucking sad, but like that is something that we have to be concerned with now, is that guns might show up at stores or at movie theaters. And if they were to get like shot or experience that, like how would I feel? Um, it I don't know the answer. I don't think anybody has a swift answer for this issue that we are experiencing at this point in our country, but I just know both things suck, and I I don't want anybody to get hurt, but also someone needs to be standing up to these people, and we can't just be held hostage in our own country.
I vote we do like the biker guys and go stand outside and be like, let's get a bunch of mean looking tranny dudes and stuff and just line up outside and be like, all right, man. I mean, my target, I live in the South. No shit, no weird shit's been moved around. It seems like the Pride collection is still intact as of today, but yeah, I really wish there was something we could do about it. Cody, what do you think?
I mean, the whole like, corporate capitalism thing. Yeah. I get that, but at the same time, it kind of shows you how we have socially shifted. Because back in the day, sporting a rainbow anything for whatever big store would never fly. So to think, there's all these corporations jumping on board because that's where the money is at. That means we've gained so much acceptance over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great sign. Like, that's great. I can't imagine ever when I was like, even 10 years ago, thinking about like walking into a Target store and seeing like a Pride collection. That wasn't a thing. So it's like, it sucks because, yeah, for any opportunity, people are going to try to make money off of anything they can. But it does also show the way that we have shifted socially with acceptance and all those things.
Yeah.
That being said, I do understand wanting to keep employees safe, and Target is one of like the most LGBT friendly places to work. So that like it's not just the store themselves are anti-LGBT or they're trying to like backpedal. It's like they are just legitimately afraid for safety because there's been so many shootings lately, and I think even on I forgot. I saw some posts where there was like even on Memorial Day or something, there was like 117 people that died just from shootings alone. Yeah, I guess there was like 17 that we haven't even heard of. So it's just like the whole gun thing is a serious issue. I'd probably be scared. Like, who knows? Even going to the mall, there's people that just randomly are shooting things up. So if you give them more reason to do so, it's an issue. So I can understand why they'd want to push it to the back.
Well, and the other thing, I have two thoughts on that. I was thinking. One is I do know that like 5 years ago, I believe it was like Lady Gaga pulled all of her records and stuff from Target because their policies didn't back up what they were saying, and that was 5 years ago. So hopefully they got better. But I did want to time check us on that. So hopefully they've gotten better. The people I do know who work at Target are queer or very strong allies. So who knows? And the other thought I had was Target is probably one of the bigger pride collections that people in smaller communities probably have access to, which I think is another thing to think about. Um, Even I know Cody was pulling up an article earlier about Walmart having pride collections too, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking dope. Yet rainbow capitalism sucks, but like a small town kid in like nowhere, Ohio, who has a Walmart but nothing else in a Dollar General, to see something that has pride on it, I mean, I bet that feels amazing.
Yeah, and it does kind of, I know for the other side, this is the argument that they hate, but it's like it does normalize it. And I know they
That's the
hate
point.
that.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
And it's just like, yeah, the whole like capitalism shit sucks, but if I could have seen that or had that opportunity to, have it be just part of everyone's life, like my life would be so different. But it was so shush shush, just not like don't talk about it. Pride is the thing that happens, but no one goes unless you're gay, and like it's just this like shameful. I grew up in the religion though, so I might have had a different experience altogether. But now it's just like everyone knows that June is Pride Month, for better or worse, because you got, a bunch of people who are not cool with it. But yeah, we're still moving in the right direction. It's just whenever the pendulum swings one direction, it's always going to try to swing back in the other direction. And I think that's kind of where we're at. And, to a point, I feel like a lot of times, the pendulum swings, it gets a little too extreme, and then things, they push it back, and then you push back against, and it swings in the other direction again. So it's kind of this push pull situation, and we're just in this situation where people are pushing back real hard because uh, with trans rights, even specifically, we've made so much ground over the past even like 5 years. It's crazy. When I first started transitioning, um, almost 8 years ago, the doctor had never treated a trans person. Like she had no idea what to do. There was hardly any information out there, and now you can get your prescription online. Like it's just like the accessibility has changed drastically, and it's probably why people are pushing back so hard. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah,
I think it's a kind of a good transition though, because like we can kind of get into our own experiences now, and like, do you guys still go to Pride, the festival part?
mm-mm.
I haven't for a while. Thinking about going to this one, but yeah, it's been maybe like 5 years at least.
Yeah, it's been. I'm not as a. No, that's not true. I did go once, um, post coming out as trans, and I went with a buddy, and oh, that was a bad experience. I was at this cocktail bar, and this older gentleman and this fellow thought I was underage, and that interested them, and they wanted to take me back to their place. Yeah, so that's the last time I went to Pride,
Whoa.
and that's not okay. So yeah, so that was scarring, and I was like, why do you have to be like this? This is exactly what people think we are, is pedophiles.
Mm.
Like, you like that I'm underage? That's terrifying. Um, anyway, but without going too completely off the fucking rails with that, I will say that it's not out of like not enjoying a party. I used to go to San Diego Pride every year, but I feel like more than anything, it's because Pride feels like a drinking party now, and since I don't really drink, it just doesn't feel that fun to me. But I am going. For anybody who's in the Southeast Virginia region or North Carolina, Tender Heart Tattoo, Norfolk, Virginia, is doing a special flash sale on June 23rd, and all benefits will be going to the Southern Trans Resource Center, which they are incredibly impacted. This region does not have a lot of resources. The only reason I am able to access the things I do is because of my job. Otherwise, I'd be screwed.
Sucks.
How about you, Cal? You going?
Yeah, yeah. I always go to some part of Pride. I'm in Columbus, so that's the Pride I go to. And so ours is kind of like a 3-day event. And like I said, I've only really ever been to Columbus, so But like Friday night is the night everybody goes out to the bars because we have a pretty thriving queer scene bar wise. And then Saturday is the parade and the festival, and usually I'll go to part of the parade and then dip out early. I usually will go through the festival really quick, but then I get overwhelmed and leave.
Yeah.
But Sunday is the day I love the most, and so Sunday we do Baton Rouge. Have you guys ever heard of that?
The place in New Orleans?
Like BAT.
Oh, no.
I didn't know if other cities did it. So it's a drag softball game that is put on, and it's like they have beer trucks and food vendors and stuff. But our softball league, I'm in the queer softball league, does it as a fundraiser. But a bunch of people just will get in costume, and they'll have a character, and they play in character the whole time, and they just put on a baseball game, and everybody comes out and watches, and
It sounds hilarious.
it's amazing. So that's my favorite, and so if you haven't checked it out and you're in Ohio, try to go to Baton Rouge, which is the Sunday of Pride.
You know, that's good to know, actually, because one, I've heard Columbus is like one of the gayest cities in America. Isn't it like top 5, top 3?
Biggest pride, I think, in the
Yeah, and more lesbians than Oakland, which is quite a feat. So,
I believe it.
yeah,
We
I
have
looked
a
that up
queer
once.
softball league and a lesbian softball league specifically.
See, that's Columbus. That's cool. See, if I lived somewhere like that where there was like, I mean, I know Norfolk has some stuff, and obviously I'm not far from DC or Richmond. I'm closer to Richmond. But anyway, yeah, Columbus seems like it would be chill though.
Yeah, pretty decent sometimes.
Yeah.
So, do you guys remember your first Pride? Do you guys, any of you, want to tell your like life story or your gay story or trans story, whatever?
I got blackout drunk.
It's a lot.
Oh,
Yeah. All right, go for it, Seth. I think.
Oh no! Yeah,
you just volunteered.
We
Yes.
pre-gamed really hard with Jaeger and Coke. We were quite young, and I was a lesbian at the time, and I went with a bunch of other gays.
Were you more country when you were a lesbian? Is that why you're?
I was doing Blanche Devereaux.
Huh?
I thought this was a safe place. I thought this was a place for gays.
Yeah,
Golden
but
Girls?
just not country gays though. Sorry.
Golden Girls is not country gays. That's Palm Springs gays. That's Tampa gays. Miami gays. Anyway, continuing on, moving past that. The thing with that was I don't really remember it because I was so fucked up, as was basically everyone else. I think the weather was good, and I saw some YouTubers that I recognized. But other than that, oh, I do have a funny story. That same Pride, we ended up going to this bar. If anyone listening is familiar with the area, Hillcrest is San Diego's gay district. And they have this particular bar that is a gay bar, that's particularly a bear bar, and it is called Pecs. And some of my friends happen to be bears, and they wanted to go. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be the only woman there, so thanks. That's fine. I was already, like, coming off, like, not as drunk as I was. So showing up, hanging out, I'd never been surrounded by so many large gay men in my life. Like, it was so incredible. Like, just the sheer amount of people who could fit in there. And at one point, I really embarrassed myself. I think this guy was trying to hit on me, and I don't remember all the details, but all my friends fucking heard me, like, turn this guy down, and I have no memory of this. But anyway, it was, yeah. And don't use the women's restroom at gay bars.
Or any restroom.
Don't use them. The men's are usually fine, but do not use the women's restroom.
Have you guys ever experienced this is an offshoot, and it's just because there's a bar in town that was called Daddy's, and I remember the first time I went to it. I went to the restroom and I was washing my hands, and the mirror, like, it was like up to here. So I couldn't. I'm like, I've never felt shorter in my entire life. Sorry for those who are just listening and not watching the video. It was about up to my nose.
Like a little kid in a medicine cabinet. Someone get Kel's stool.
I am not that short, people.
Like, how drunk am I?
Cody, what you want to tell us your going out story?
Yeah, so yeah, my first Pride, I think, was back in like, God, I don't know, years just blend together these days. So just for a little background, so I've told this story so many times, I apologize for everyone that already knows it, but so I grew up pretty religious. I went to a Christian school, church every Sunday. So I was kind of in this like religious bubble for my whole life. And, even though I knew I was different, I just knew that it wasn't something I was allowed to be, shame, being a sinner, going to hell for liking ladies and stuff like that. It was, it's all just, I was like, I don't know what to do, but I know that this is not something that I could be honest about. So I'm just going to hold that in, suppress it as well as I could. And you know what happens when you suppress shit? You get in a lot of trouble. So I married a dude. It lasted 3 years.
You'll never not be funny.
For how
No, I'm laughing at you. It's funny.
So I just stumbled and accidentally said some vows and then married this guy that I hardly knew. You guys, this is the part I don't tell very much. I hardly fucking knew the guy, okay? We hadn't even been dating for a year. We got married. Because, like, that's so normal with religion because, you know why? Because you're young and you're horny. And when you're not allowed to have sex, you get married so you can have sex. And it's fucking stupid. Like, just have sex so you don't make a fucking mistake. If I would have had sex before marriage, I probably would never have gotten married because I would have figured shit out a lot sooner. So, marriage lasted 3 years. He was pretty much gone for most of it, thankfully, because he was also in the military. So during those times where he was like, he wasn't in the military when we got married, just to be specific. He joined while we were married. And then he was in boot camp for almost like, it was like 8 months. I feel like his training, boot camp, all this stuff. So I was single. And those are the moments where I was just like, fuck, like, I kind of enjoy not having to be married to or be with this guy. But he got stationed in Germany. So off to Germany I went, even though I was like not really stoked about the whole situation. But you're Christian, you got to make it work. So in Germany, I was only there for I think a total of 9 months or something. But basically, I knew I had so much time to think. I couldn't work. I couldn't drive. It was a fucking prison. The base we were on was shutting down, so there literally was no jobs. There was nowhere for me to. There's nothing for me to do. All I did was run and like cook food. And, like, I went to culinary school, but I probably learned the most just having nothing to do before I went to culinary school. So long story short, I was so miserable. He let me leave to go to culinary school, with the idea that I'd come back when I was done. In my head, I'm like, that's hilarious. I'm not coming back. So just so I could get out of there, I was like, yeah, I'm coming back in a year. Don't worry about it.
I love that you ghosted instead of.
Well, here's the other, detailed part of the story that I don't get to tell much, but I was gone and it didn't last long for him to cheat. So I had access to his email, and I don't know why I decided to check it, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was looking for it out. I found it. So he was hooking up with people while I was gone, and I finally called him on it, and that's how we ended up splitting. So it was the easy way out. I didn't even have to come out. I knew I was going to have to, but I found my way to not have to.
Irreconcilable. Adultery.
I was like, it's his fault. It's his fault. Little I was like, poor guy hasn't had sex in 3 years. So we split. Long story short, it was still a process, but we split, and then I was finally free to be more myself. I still was very closeted, but I went to a coming out group. Well, okay, sorry, rewind. I joined this website called After Ellen, which is basically a
I
website
remember
for
that website.
Remember
yeah, yeah. So I went on After Ellen. I posted on the message boards, and there was a girl that responded because I talked about how I was married, and I'm like, I'm new to this. I was so paranoid, you guys. I like just visiting that website. I was like, someone is gonna find out. I don't know how that someone is gonna find out. So I logged on, shared my story, and then like disappeared for a while, and then I logged back on and realized like someone had responded and then also messaged me. And there was this girl who was like, I have had a similar situation, and that girl ended up being my first girlfriend. She lived in Washington D.C., so it was like all the way fucking across the country. But she came over to San Francisco first. We met in San Francisco, had a little like vacation where life wasn't real. It was a vacation for both of us. And then I flew out to see her a couple times, and ultimately she broke my heart. But it's okay. It made things make sense because usually breakups meant nothing to me. Getting divorced, I felt nothing because I didn't even know the guy. I was not in love with the guy. I remember my dad being like, I know it hurts. I'm like, it does.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken. I can't even get out of bed. So I didn't experience my first heartbreak until my first girlfriend. It was awful. I'm still scarred from it. But yeah, then I was so scarred from it and so heartbroken, I needed someone to talk to. And I was out to nobody, no therapist, no nothing. So I went to this coming out group that my now girlfriend was the facilitator of. So Des was the facilitator of this coming out group. We were best friends for like 10 years until we started dating. That's a whole other thing. But finally, I had the courage to come out. God, I think I just did it on I did it on the internet. I wrote a blog, I think. But that wasn't the end of it, obviously. I realized that I was trans, came out to my mom in therapy. Didn't go so well, so I went back in the closet for a good 2 years after that, until I was ready, in the sense of ready that I had the funds to have top surgery, and then had to revisit that closet to be like, hey, okay, I'm transitioning now. So yeah, I did that. That's how I transitioned and all that shit. But to be able to transition. I lived in a small conservative town in California. Yes, small conservative towns in California exist. It's weird. So to come out even to my doctor and be like, getting the process started was had a lot of hoops involved because she didn't know what she was doing. Luckily, she was from New York, so she had a way more open mind. Which her brother was actually on SNL and was on Portlandia.
Is it Fred Armisen?
Yeah, it was his sister was my doctor, which I didn't even know until she had this Portlandia poster in her in the office, and I just like thought she was a fan. And it was no, that's her brother. Anyways, so she was the one. Fred Armisen's sister was the one that helped me get on testosterone. So thanks, Dr. Armisen. But that's kind of where it all began. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I don't think so. Besides, here I am today, trans and shit. But I escaped a marriage. I escaped Germany.
Escape Germany. What book is this from? World War II.
But my first Pride. I was so my first Pride. I went with Des because she was the facilitator of this coming out group. I hardly knew her at the time. I was so paranoid. I didn't want anyone taking photos. No photos. I had Pride paraphernalia that people, they throw shit in the parade and you can catch it, or they just give it to you. So I had like a little Pride flag and then like some beads and shit. And I was so paranoid that I shoved it in a bag and hid it under my car seat. and that still wasn't enough. I took it with me to Washington D.C. to see my girlfriend, and I just left it at her place. It's like, you have to keep this because my mom's gonna find it. So that is how paranoid I was, and to go like just full circle. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's hard for me to even grasp my mindset of what it was in those times, because it's just like I feel like a different person, and sometimes I'm like, why the fuck was I so paranoid? But like, considering my upbringing, of course I was paranoid. But yeah, sorry.
No, a
End
lot
of
of
story.
deprogramming had to happen. No, a lot of deprogramming had to happen.
I don't think I've ever heard your story from like start to finish, so that was pretty interesting.
It's a complicated one.
All right, so I'll go next.
right.
So when my first Pride was in 2009, I think. So no, it's probably earlier than that. It's probably 2006. Anyways, that doesn't really matter. But so I had a very, very close friend who was an out lesbian who came out in high school. And we met because her mom cut my mom's hair, and they said, you guys have a lot in common, and we want to be friends. And
the adults could tell.
I cannot make this up. And so we became friends when I was a senior in high school, and she was a junior in high school. But we didn't go to the same high schools. And then I went to college at Ohio Wesleyan, which is a very small liberal arts school. And then she came a year behind me. And we lived together, and I was always just like a super good ally. And the alliest of all allies. And I went to all the gay bars. And I went to my first Pride. We went to like gay bars were my first bars. I was drinking at underage. I had a grand old time. And then I would watch L Word clips. Little snippets because I didn't pay, but I was so you would have to find like 30-minute segments, and you would have to like scroll through YouTube to find them, to piece them all together.
Dude, I watched the L Word. Carmen, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
From the last. God. Yeah. Okay. We agree.
And so that was like my beginning, and then we all became friends with my suite mate. So it was like all of us lived together, and they ended up making this list of all the reasons that Kelly, my name is Kelly in long form, still, and it was then. But then so everybody knew me as Kelly, and they're like reasons that Kelly should be gay, and it was like of mannerisms or things I do that lesbians do, and it started as this hilarious joke, and it was just kind of like a running joke of things that we did and said, and of course I fucking loved it, but I was not. No one knew. I refused to speak it.
Everybody knew. I'm sorry.
Everybody knew.
That's lesbian.
And like to the point where like there was this person who was also in school with me, and who was a couple of years older, and we would see her and they called her Gay Kelly, and it was just someone who looked like me, like the gay version or the out version.
So it was your twin.
Yes. And so this was our life for a long time until I was a senior in college, and I came out to my friends. And got a girlfriend, and then I eventually really wanted to come out. My first girlfriend, played this terrible joke on me where she changed her number to mom in my phone, and it was like a flip phone, so it wasn't like, it was very little. And then texted that number, "Hey mom, I'm gay." And sent it, and I had a full-blown meltdown, like the worst.
That's so fucked up.
And then I came to find out that it was a lie, that it was her name, so it wasn't this terrible thing. And then I did it for real, because I'm like, well, I already
might as well
through it. Thanks, I
And I was
guess.
kind of ready for it to be done now. And that was a really bad way to do it. Do not do that if any kids are listening. That was terrible.
Kids should not be listening, Kel.
That's true. But
after the things I said.
But no one do that. It was a terrible way to come out. It put my family through a lot of trauma. It was a lot of trauma for me. We are much better now, but it did come with a lot of severe distance from my family for several years. So it was not great. No one's reactions were great. Did not go well. Then everything was hunky-dory in my life again as a lesbian. I was fine. I was doing my thing, partying all the time. That sounds like some party all the time, party all the time. And then I came out when I was 29 or 28, 29, something like that, as a trans man. I came out to my friends when I was drunk. And then I just went with it. I'm like, everybody knows, all my friends know, so it's fine. And then I started wearing binders and stuff. And I posted this picture on Instagram, and I had tagged GC2B, I think is the binder company. And I said, I'm so happy I feel comfortable this Pride, finally in my body. And I was so stoked, but I forgot that family members followed me on Instagram. So that...
Shit!
That my mom... And then it was terrible again for a while. But now everything's hunky-dory again. So after a lot of therapy from people on my side and myself, I will say my communication skills are much better now. I've done a lot of work since then. But yeah, so that's kind of my story. My first Pride was a blast. I loved it, but I was now. So.
Yeah, I did notice that when you were telling the story, you put a lot of the, like, almost the blame at your feet, like you were responsible for how they took it. But, Kel, it's not your fault. You did the best you could at the time, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I totally get, like, the, oh, you know, I've grown in such a way, like, because, you know, we all have, but, dude, that's, I mean, you're definitely talking to two dudes who understand, because, I mean, shit, I tried to tell my mom so many times, she's like, no, you're not. You're not. You're not, okay? Why do you want to be a little boy so bad? She's probably listening right now. Love you. But she also... no, I should not say that shit on me. Never fucking mind. No, I'll say it. She can, if she hears this. My mom actually had a lesbian relationship during Don't Ask, Don't Tell when she was in the military. So she kind of figured that it was like that. Like, she's like, you'll get over this. And then I just upped the ante in my 20s, and I was like, yeah, you know that thing you've always been afraid of that I was? Because my parents always be like, why do you want to be a boy? Don't be a boy. Don't do boy things. And I was like, but I am, man. I am a boy. And when I finally told them, they weren't surprised. They were just like, I mean, it wasn't great, but, you know, we've gotten over a lot of that, and things are great now. But, yeah, no, it was just a lot of being like, no, I really am. Like, I'm so serious. They're like, oh, come on, no you're not. So anyway,
yeah. It's just crazy to me because, and I'm sure just from how you guys talk about it, it's like we've changed so much, and I feel like such a little kid when I think about like those times, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
It's hard to think because like I had so much fear and shame around, like, it was my biggest, most darkest secret, and now I talk about it on the internet regularly, like for thousands of people. It's bizarre to me. I don't know how I went from A to Z. Like, how did I get to this point? But I guess, you know, that's just it's a combination of accepting yourself, surrounding yourself with people who accept you, and, you know, socially, you know, there is more acceptance stuff right now. It's going to take a step back with the whole trans acceptance thing. But yeah, also getting my ass out of the fucking church, man, that was huge.
Yeah, I should get out of there. I think that's a good point to bring up as far as like visibility. with all the hate, I guess, around trans people lately in the news, even though we all know it's always been there, man. Maybe not quite so posted on the internet, but anyway. I always feel a little uncomfortable when topics like this come up, not because I don't think they're valid, but because I feel like my voice is like, who fucking cares what I think, because I pass and like I'm, at very little risk of anything actually happening to me. Whereas, there's lots of people who don't have that privilege, and I tend to step back and just listen to what they have to say about it, because, and obviously, and I don't mean any like negative quality to this, but say a trans woman who does not pass and goes through life and she lives in fear, like that's a legitimate concern, and I would rather listen to her than, I guess, listen to me. I don't know if that sounds like, be like, yes, you are trans, I know I'm trans, but it just feels like I blend in too good to the point that it's like, but I lose track of which male privileges I don't have. I feel like I pretty much have white male privilege. Unless I say otherwise, like right now,
Yeah. There are circumstances where, it will follow you. I think things that we don't think about because we don't deal with it on a daily basis. But I think when I had my little gut twisting scenario and had to be in the hospital, it kind of, highlighted where it still follows you and where it still becomes an issue because you got doctors who aren't familiar, with what to do with you, or like they,
they're all different.
Yeah, well, and they make assumptions about things, or that maybe their personal views don't line up with you, which is weird that you could just have someone who like doesn't agree with your life, and you're like, well, fuck you, I'm here, so agree with that I'm still human and treat me as you should. But yeah, it's always a little bit of a fear, especially I have a very visible arm scar, and that's something that gives me the most anxiety within a medical setting, because they're the ones that ask about it the most. I had a nurse be like, what happened to your arm? And I was like, I had a surgery. And she was like, oh, what for? I was just like, it's a long story, don't worry about it. Like, I don't want to be like, they constructed a penis for me. It's just like,
it's my dick arm.
Yeah, like, it's my dick arm, what do you want? See ya.
Yeah, totally, dude. And I think jumping off of that too is, anytime I'm in a medical situation now, I mean, it's a lot harder, I think, when you're sort of starting out, transitioning, and you're still working on correcting people and all that stuff. That was horrible, and I do not miss that. But now I just kind of lay it all out. I'm like, this is what I'm working with. You see my ID, so address me as such, but this is what I'm working with, doc, and this stays between us. And so far, I haven't really had any issues. There was one time in an emergency room where I was incapacitated. You all know what happened. And the doctor was not getting it. He was like, wait, so... And I didn't get the vibe of hate. I got the just genuinely just did not understand. And maybe I wasn't explaining it well, because he's like, so female. I'm like, yes, between you and I, as far as treatment for the X, Y, and Z, yes. And then, he's like, so, but man, yes, exactly. Anyway, I wouldn't want to do that again, but I feel like as long as you live, I walk out, I'm like, that was cool. That was cool, dude.
Yeah, I mean, because I agree with you, Seth, to a point, with like the amplifying people of voices who.
I wasn't telling us to shut up, by the way. I just realized that it sounded like we shouldn't even be talking about it.
No, I get you, but like I agree. But also, like, when I was working at the donut factory, that was one of the hardest parts. So I passed in like day to day, but like we had this. It was in the country, so like there was a lot of country redneck folk who worked there, and I just remember one of our bathrooms' door was broken. That I did not find out until weeks after working there, and someone like walked in on me in the bathroom. It was the biggest fear I've ever had, because he was the head of operations for donuts, and
For donuts.
had a mullet and wore pit vipers every day. So he had that vibe going.
A stylistic queen.
Yes, and so like it was so fucking scary. I just it was terrible. Yeah, so like there is some things that you just can't fucking outrun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
came out in a very masculine dominated field, so I get you. That was fun. Still work for it too.
Yeah, we don't have to give our background checks anymore. With Cody and I have our own business.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, it's like when I came out and transitioned, I was working in the kitchen, male dominated as well. So it's funny, we had single stall restrooms, gender neutral restrooms, up until I went on medical leave to have phalloplasty, and then they changed it to gendered restrooms, which I found very strange. But they
That
went
one's got a
backwards.
dick now.
Yeah, no, it was like because we didn't have enough bathrooms and there was always a line. So they're like, we need stalls. We need more bathrooms because we can't just have people waiting forever. And it was terrifying. It's like, cool, I'm glad I have the right equipment now. But using a urinal next to guys that knew you before transition is not ideal in any situation. It was terrifying, and I would use, there's only one stall, but like, it was in use quite a lot of the time. So it was forced to use the urinal, and I had to get over my shy bladder situation. I'm still a shy peer, but that was like, when you have no other option,
Yeah.
that's all you got to do.
You're like, this
And
is why I had it done.
And then you're like, is it weird? Is that as weird for them as it is for me right now? Because I'm sweating.
Probably not.
like this chick has a dick now. This is fucking weird. Like this chick is standing up, pissing next to me. What fucking world do we live? Like I just like to put myself in other people's shoes sometimes, and it makes me laugh. But that is the same way I was like really stoned the other day, and I texted you the group for you. I don't remember. Maybe I just texted Seth. I can't remember. I was thinking about my marriage, and I was thinking about what it would be like if he looked me up and saw what I look like now. And I laugh because I'm like, I hope he feels so fucking gay because he was married to this thing now. Like, I remotely look the same. It just makes me really fucking laugh, and I always imagine like their Thanksgiving table discussions, and I bet his family fucks with him so bad. Be like, remember your ex-wife or your ex-husband? Like, I know it's kind of fucked up, but it makes me laugh, so I think about it sometimes.
Yeah, that's really funny. Not to interrupt, I'm still going to keep talking, but I just, for the past 30 minutes, my wife has been texting me frantically because it looks like our flights got canceled for tomorrow. So kind of like, I don't know what's wrong. But continuing on with the panic of that, yeah, dude, it is, he is gay. I've made the decision for you. I know there's people that go, wow, wow, that's, wow, 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 people in the comments. Man, anyway, all those haters, we love to see them. Keep saying shit. I love it. It makes me laugh so hard because you think I care. You sad little man. Anyway, so because we don't know. Anyway, I feel like I was gonna ask Kel something, but now I don't remember. It's my bad.
That's okay.
Well, so when it comes to pride, like, do you still feel like you have the same sense of pride? Do you feel that in your heart? Or I feel like the past few years I've kind of felt like meh about it, but with everything going on this year, I kind of have that like I want to fight feeling, so it kind of came back. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, how do you feel?
I still have that fight thing in me, mostly because I've met a lot of people who are younger than me who are going through things now, and or like earlier than I did, and it just pisses me off when people pick on. Well, I've say it over and over again. the thing that pisses me off the most is someone stealing other people's joy, and especially when it has nothing to do with them. And I think that's a lot of what fires me up, to keep going and to keep staying visible, and to put like queer things on and like shirts and stuff, and wear all that pride merch and that kind of thing. So yeah, I love it. I love being surrounded by the community. So I'll be out there again this year.
I think that's awesome. I it's complicated for me. I was definitely more involved in I guess you would say the community when I was a lesbian, and early in my transition. And then as time has sort of gone on, I have just, not out of any animosity, but just kind of fallen away to the point that I wasn't really even uh, talking to, just coincidentally, many people who were in the community. My daily life was not with people in the community. That's since changed, but it's still, uh, I don't know. And I don't want to sound like that guy, but I think a lot of times I just feel like that guy. I'm married to a woman. I don't look, and I know that there's not a look. I feel like we're getting into my issues now. Like this has turned into therapy. But I guess what I mean to say is, I think it can be a good outlet for people. I definitely care about us. I think Pride isn't just I guess what to me it is it's the party is great, even if that's not so much my scene anymore. But the thing that I care about is like what I was talking about earlier. Not to, I don't know the thing that I care about. Oh, the children. I mean, I do, but to say that like fundraising for, like the trans resource centers in your region, as you can, or trying to, amplify those types of things, putting money in the hands of people who can actually help, is, in my opinion, pretty much the only thing that can be done by most people. So that's what I focus on this month. And I think what we are doing here right now is how I celebrate Pride.
I like that.
Word. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Gabagool.
Well,
all right. So
yeah. I don't know if y'all have any other. I mean, we got all month now. So at first it was like Pride, and then there was Pride Week, and now we have a whole month. So maybe I can see a little bit of why people are like, they're taking over. I'm just kidding.
It's Pride year this year. It's year of the gay. Last year was year of the rooster or whatever.
That's a
yeah. So should I just go into the power talk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do it. Let me pull it up here. So, this has nothing to do with what we talked about. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. I like that because I feel like that is probably one of the main things that, gets people tripping over their goals, or feeling like they can't do something, because you convince yourself that you're not capable of something. And as an anxious person, I often believe the lies my anxiety tells me. I often feel like an imposter as well. So I can relate to this because I tell myself stories that may not exactly be true, but I will believe them. But it's definitely one of those things that holds you back more than you know. And that is a point where, I've had points where I've realized that people who are arrogant actually get further in life than those who question themselves or feel like imposters. So it's just like that whole like make it till you break it thing. Make it till you break it. Fake it till you make it. That was great. No, that was not saying. So yeah, fake it till you make it. Like there's some truth behind that, because it's almost like you're trying to show yourself that you are capable, or you're trying to show yourself that it's okay to be yourself. I don't know that anyone's actually ever faking it. It's more of like you're just allowing yourself to be who you are, because faking never really goes well and people can tell. But if you're just yourself, you
Yes,
start
remember
believing
the
in yourself. What?
Remember the gay list. That's just what we're about. You can't fake it. You can't lie.
Yes. So if you're gay, you can't fake being straight. People know. In the same way that you can't fake who you are, because people are gonna know.
They're
But
gonna know.
bottom line, in conclusion, just believe in yourself and stop believing the lies that your anxiety tells you, because you deserve to be who you are, and the rest of the world deserves to know who you are. So that's it.
Love that. That's
I loved it.
The end. All right, bye.
Adios.
Adios.
All right, guys. Until next week. Peace out.